We are here with state employment economist Nick Balachics to discuss this month's employment situation in Oregon. Nick, we usually focus on two figures, the unemployment rate and number of jobs in the state. And this month, neither of these figures seem to move much.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of new activity in the labor market in November. The unemployment rate was essentially unchanged. It went to 4.2% in November. It was 4.3% the month before. And for employment, the number of jobs fell by 1,800 in November, which is a very small change.
And were there any industries in particular that saw more drops than others?
Yeah, the industries that lost the most jobs in November were professional and business services, which lost 2,000 jobs, and manufacturing, which lost 1,700 jobs. Those are pretty big sectors, so the number of jobs lost is relatively small compared to the size of those sectors.
And as for the unemployment rate, where does that 4.2% this month stack up historically?
Oregon's unemployment rate of 4.2% is very low. This year we've saw Oregon's unemployment rate drop to record low levels. We have comparable numbers going back 40 years, and that 4.2%, that's the lowest we've ever seen before. So looking before this year, we've never seen an unemployment rate that low.
Well, we didn't see much change in the unemployment rate and job figures in November. But what is the situation with longer term growth?
Well, it looks like job growth has slowed in Oregon in the last half of this year. The rate of growth for the 12-month period leading up to November was 1.7%. So it's dropped down below the 2% level that we had been seeing, and it's actually much lower than it was a few years ago. This probably has to do with the really low unemployment rate and the tight labor supply. So we know that employers would like to be hiring right now, but it seems like they're not finding enough workers to support the sort of job growth that we were seeing last year.
And is this slow growth a cause for concern?
It's concern for employers who are looking to hire. If they can't find the applicants to fill the jobs they need, they certainly could be in a better situation. For workers, though, it means there's a lot of job opportunities out there right now, and there's upward pressure on wages. So employers may have to raise the amount of they're offering to their employers in order to attract the workers that they need.
So you mentioned employers are having a difficult time finding applicants for their jobs, almost like it's a shrinking pool of job seekers. What sort of signs suggest that this is the case? Are there any indicators that point towards this shrinking labor pool?
In addition to the record low unemployment rate, we see other measures of the labor force indicating a shrinking labor pool. For example, the number of workers who are working part-time, but they'd rather be working full-time, that's usually an indicator of job weakness. That's actually at a record low level. So there's relatively few people in that involuntary part-time worker situation. Also, the share of unemployed, that's long-term unemployed, that is, they've been out of a job for at least 6 months, that also reached record low levels in 2017. And the number of discouraged workers, those are people who gave up looking for work because they thought there simply wasn't a job out there for them. That also reached record low levels in 2017. So all our measures of the labor force are shaping up to a very tight labor market and not a large pool of available workers right now.
At this time of the year, many people think about holiday hiring. And do today's figures shed any light on holiday hiring?
Well, it looks like holiday hiring is going to be pretty average this year, so it doesn't seem like retailers are able to hire the number of workers that they usually would this time of year. So either they don't need to hire as many this year, or the workers simply aren't available. It's a little too early to tell, but the growth in the retail sector hasn't been especially strong. What we do see, the growth during the holiday season over the last few years has been in the industry of couriers and messengers, which are essentially the parcel box delivery people. A lot of growth this time of year that's making up for lack of hiring in the retail sectors.